Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to It's Rainmaking Time. This is Kim Greenhouse. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Lance Trumbull. He is the founder of the Everest Peace Project, which is a peace organization that brings people together to promote peace, teamwork, and cultural understanding. He is one of the few people in the world that has survived the climb of the highest mountain in the world, Everest. And what he's done is he's produced an award-winning film, Everest, A Climb for Peace, narrated by Orlando Bloom and endorsed by the Dalai Lama, where he literally brought a Palestinian and Israelis together on Everest to promote peace. He is a passionate person. He's a motivational speaker. He's an adventurer. He's one of the few people that has sold everything he had to go to Nepal, and in Nepal had this inspiration to do this project. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Lance Trumbull to It's Rainmaking Time. Good morning.
After that introduction, I don't know that I need to say anything else here. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I was watching television on a Sunday night, and I watched Everest, A Climb for Peace. I have to tell you, it was the most powerful, moving, jaw-dropping, shocking, touching movie I've ever seen of something that really took place. You could feel in this film what you're all going through. Concerns for your well-being, your concern for all members of the team, and even how people who could hate each other or may have such issues that they couldn't work together could take on something this huge and work together. I want to recommend, first of all, that everybody listening buy the documentary. It's worth having your own copy because when you forget about what's possible, Lance and this film will remind you. All kids should have this. All families should have this. This kind of a project ties everything together, but it's organic. In other words, it's the real deal. It's the tallest mountain in the world. Orlando Bloom said just a little over 2,500 people have gotten to the summit, but 200 have died doing it. That's really profound. Were you ever concerned for your own well-being?
Well, yeah. I mean, the thing with Everest is you can die, and so certainly there is that concern, that issue, and but more for my own well-being, more than my own well-being, I was concerned about everybody's because I brought this whole thing together, and so I felt kind of like a father, so to speak. This whole project was my baby. And if anything went wrong, I was going to be the responsible one. And so, there were, including Sherpas and Tibetans and our team members, there was 23 people on the expedition. And so I gained a few more gray hairs during the expedition, definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know that the first few minutes of this interview was done on a cell phone, and normally we don't do cell phone interviews. We're now moving Lance to a Skype call. This will stabilize the interview. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much. How did this whole thing start? Give the audience the context for what inspired you, A, to give up everything, sell everything, and go to Nepal, and take it from there.
About 10 years ago, I was going through a very difficult time in my life, a divorce. And a divorce is, of course, never easy. And for a while, I'd always wanted to go to Nepal. And I was by myself at this point in the stage of the divorce. And so I thought, what the heck, I'm going to do the Everest Base Camp trek. And had this absolutely incredible time. The people, the culture, of course, the views of the Himalayas and looking at Mount Everest in all its glory, from base camp. It was phenomenal. I had this, pun intended, peak experience. And I came back from this incredible experience and I instantly became even more depressed because you have this incredible high and you come back to reality of, well, I'm still going through a divorce. I'm still by myself. And, I think that's one thing to ponder, and we can address this maybe later, is, how do you bring back into your everyday existence to these profound experiences? It was just 3 weeks for the first time. And so I came back, and I was talking to a good friend of mine and telling him, what a wonderful time I had, and how coming back is kind of depressing. And he said, "Well, I think you should just move to Nepal." And I said, "Ha ha ha, that's pretty funny." But that thing kind of stayed with me. Well, why don't I move to Nepal? And I thought, well, I can think of about 100 reasons why someone doesn't move to Nepal. But after a few weeks, more and more time came by, and those 100 reasons came down to only a few reasons. Well, why don't I move to Nepal? And one of the things I learned is that there are always reasons not to do something. And more often than not, you'll have plenty of people give you those reasons why you shouldn't do something. But so it kind of all boiled down to, what's really stopping me. And one of the things that was really stopping me was finances.
It's always the dragon at the gate, isn't it?
Yeah, and so, I'm in debt. I've got my own business.
What was your business at the time?
I was an online used book dealer.
Really?
Yeah, selling books all over the world. And it was, I loved it. I was selling books online back in the early days in 1996, where people were still saying, "Hey, what's that internet thing?" Anyway, so I did all my finances, and I realized that it would take me about 3 years to come up, just to pay off everything, and to have enough money to travel, to do all the traveling that I wanted to do, and to move to Nepal. And I thought, you know what? If I wait 3 years, I'm never going to do it. So it was December 2001 at this point, and I finally just said, screw it, I'm going to do it. And so I'm somebody who, I guess, basically jumps in the deep end. And so that next day, I went to the travel agent and I bought a one-way, non-refundable ticket for May, a little over 5 months later.
That's brilliant. That's actually how to do it, is you box yourself in so you can't get out of it.
And so I posted that ticket, non-refundable ticket, on my desk and right next to my computer screen, where I'd look at it every day. And I was looking at that day, May 2nd, and I was saying to myself, you know what, Lance? This plane is going to leave with or without me, and I have to make it my duty to make sure I'm on that plane.
Why was it one way, though? Why one way?
I don't know. It just seemed more dramatic to me.
That's the adventure in you.
Yeah, it was all or nothing, just kind of jumping really in the deep end. So I thought I'd worry about the other way, coming back whenever was the time. Then I kind of thought to myself, okay, now what am I going to do? And so the only way I was going to make this happen was to do something drastic, because that flight was going to be leaving with or without me. And so I proceeded to sell everything that I possessed. But before I got to that point, it was quite difficult, because we accumulate all these things, our big TV, our computers, our first edition books, and we associate these things as being part of us, or as being us. And it took me a little while to realize, well, I'm not my big TV, I'm not my iPod, or at that point my Walkman, I'm not my first editions, I'm not these things that I accumulate. And so at first, selling this stuff, getting rid of everything, was a labor in, a difficult labor. Let's just put it that way. And the only thing that comes to my mind was, what Gandhi said, which is, renounce and rejoice. Well, it took me a while to get the rejoicing part. But after I started selling a few things, it just became almost fun. It was like, okay, let's see what else I can sell.
Did you keep your computer?
No, I sold everything. I sold my car, my computer, all of my books, clothes, furniture, literally everything except a couple of duffel bags of climbing and trekking gear that I was going to take with me.
What was the pull to Nepal?
Well, I had just, been to Everest Space Camp and had that incredible experience, and never felt like